What's going on is Anton from antondaniels.com. I appreciate you guys for continuing to rock with me. Why are we acting crazy? I was having a conversation last night on After Hours, which it was a great conversation. And, you know, we always have these passionate discussions, but the conversation largely centered around what is happening on social media, where it's a lot of people talking about the lack of education for black boys and black men. Now, on the black boy side, it's bad because they're basically saying that we can read as a collective. Obviously, I can read. Obviously, I'm college educated, but there's less and less of us that are starting to move into higher education, which in my opinion, it means that we are going to be left behind. Now, of course, every conversation has to turn into a men versus women thing. And because women are the ones that raised the issue with this whole conversation, largely because there's a lot of educators or people are consultants or they do research or whatever, and this is their job, and they go into these classrooms and they've been evaluating what is going on in these classrooms, and so they participate in the conversation justifiably because they are concerned. And it's not that they're concerned because they have children that are going through it, because a lot of them don't have children that are having this conversation, but they are concerned because they are educators, and it's logical for them to say, man, this is so eye-opening that we can't avoid it. It's not even a small issue. This is a major issue. And because it is directed towards a specific segment or group of people, then all of a sudden, all of the black guys want to get offended. They want to go into their femininity. Now, I am an equal accountability smoke giver, meaning that I don't care about your feelings. I believe what's right is right and what's wrong is wrong. So when I give my opinion or my take on something, I have to be objective, and I hold women accountable on a regular basis. And I can say also, because I have said in a couple videos like a couple days ago, that part of the reason is that we have too many single parent households and mothers are allowing for schools to raise their children, and it starts at home. After that, right? And the reason why I'm segmenting this conversation is because there's a two-part, right? If your parents was trash, right, and they raised you to be trash, and then you grow up to be a less than stellar or less than prepared adult, because that's not always the equation, right? That's not always the situation. Sometimes you just bad as hell. Sometimes you did not meet the expectations. Sometimes you had great parents, and you can have a woman in the household, a young girl, right, a daughter, and you can have a son, and the son could just turn out to be trash. Sometimes the daughter can turn out to be trash. So the point is that once you become an adult, what are you going to do, and how are you going to start remedying the situation? But when we start to hold these guys accountable and say, hey, listen, you are about to try to start having kids, right? And you know what you're doing, and you're about to put your kid at a disadvantage. You know when your kid grow up, you can't read, fam. You can't read past a second or first grade level. What are you gonna do to remedy this? Then it becomes a dick versus pussy conversation. And that tells me a lot, right? Because it tells me that we have gotten to the point to where it's so popular to only hold women accountable that we can't have a conversation that would benefit ourselves. And unfortunately, because you don't understand that it has nothing to do with whether or not we hold women accountable once you become an adult, you're not taking steps to actually put yourself and your children in the best situation possible, because we are passing on this same mindset to our children, and it should never be an excuse. Once you become an adult, we adjust, we adapt, and we do everything that we want to do. And now it's starting to reflect in our finances, it's starting to reflect in our families, it's starting to reflect in our cultural norms and our differences. It is now normalized for a lot of guys not to be able to read. That is crazy. And I was telling Slimmy, and we was having this conversation last night, and I was telling Slimmy, and we were having this conversation, and I said, that's why technology is now your greatest curse and it's your greatest blessing, because we can leverage it to find resources or self-teach or start to put energy into it. Instead of being on Xbox or PlayStation all day, maybe you need to allocate that time towards gaining new insight or teaching yourself or participating in your own success and stuff, and we reject that. We will defend the fact that guys are playing video games at a higher clip than ever, but we won't actually take accountability for teaching ourselves how to read. And it translates into us always having these get-rich-quick mindsets. We want to gamble our way to the top. We want to hurry up and invest in Bitcoin and XRP. And if you ask somebody to explain it to you, hey, explain to me blockchain technology. Why should people invest in this? And I'm not saying that you shouldn't, but I'm saying explain it to me in layman's terms. And I always say from a C student's perspective, they get offended because they can't. And it's unfortunate because now, once you get past the crisis when it comes to us raising our children to where they just got passed along, and it's a lot of factors. One of the factors is that we had this no child left behind BS that was pushed on us from the political agenda, especially with regard to Democrats, because they just wanted to pass y'all through. And the only thing that mattered was the grades instead of matter. You should have been kept back. You should have been held back. You should have been held accountable. But y'all come up there and y'all cuss out the parents or you cuss out the teachers for your children being bad. And so now they pass this no child left behind because our cultural norm is to get you through instead of holding you accountable. You graduate from high school, then you get mad at the system for keeping you down when you're the one that voted for the ones that's actually pushing you through. And so it's a lot of reasons, but once you become an adult, what you gonna do about it? How are we gonna make the adjustment? And then these guys think that they gonna just be able to get these jobs or whatever. Every job requires for you to be technologically savvy. You can't even apply for the job itself. It's a lot of people that don't even have the confidence to apply for the job because they don't know how to have a LinkedIn profile. They can't read. They can't go in and fill out an application online. They don't know what the requirements are, and so they give up or they take the lowest hanging fruit and then they just do that and it doesn't even matter. And so now we just in survival mode instead of figuring out how we can thrive. And you will never be able to thrive. And this is just the facts. The way that you evaluate whether or not a society, a culture, a group of people are thriving is by looking at how strong the men are. It's just the way that it is. We can sit there and we can talk about it. We can complain about it. We can act like it's not true, but you can't take ownership and responsibility of your women, of your culture, of your children, of anything, unless you can truly say that, yo, I need to do better, or the success of my family and my culture is gonna be dependent on whether or not I'd educate myself. I ain't even talking about getting a college degree, because I know, listen, if you don't wanna teach yourself how to read, if you don't wanna take responsibility for that, it ain't even no need in me discussing anything with regard to college, because every single dude that was dusty in that chat was sitting there talking about, man, we don't need college. College is a scam. No, that's an excuse. That is an excuse. And what I'm starting to find is that there is a lot of guys that are okay, and we've put ourselves at such a disadvantage that we've handicapped ourselves, even from a cultural norm, even from when people hold us accountable, we've handicapped ourselves to where it is not popular to hold black men accountable. And yes, we can use that same excuse and say, well, society holds us accountable. Yes, that's why you got the highest incarceration rates, because the best way to combat that is through education. And we don't want to have that conversation. Listen, there's some people that's watching this that's going to get mad and they're going to hit a dislike, and that's okay. I'm not tripping about that. I ain't never tripped about whether or not people like me or whether or not they accept what it is that I'm saying. But what I'm saying is, of all of the different thousands of people that's gonna watch this video, if one or two of you hear this and you say, yep, Anton, you know what? That's the battery in my back that I needed to go ahead and educate myself, then it was worth making the video. Even if this is not a popular video to make, if it reached one or two people and they say, you know what? If it reached one person, and they say, you know what? I am going to do things differently because I want better for my family. I want better for my daughter. I want better for my son. I want better for myself. I'm okay with that. I'm cool with it. But we got to start having an uncomfortable conversation, and it's not okay to just only hold a small demographic of people accountable. We gotta hold ourselves accountable too. That's just the reality of it. I love you. I appreciate you. Hopefully you guys comment on this and let me know what the sentiment inside of the comments. I want to know what y'all think so that I can understand exactly how to approach these things going forward. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. And Teach Hanley, 40% off your first order, 20% off for life. I love you in real life. I appreciate you. I'm going to holler at you later. Peace.